Hey runners, happy Wednesday and welcome to the Coaches Chat live here on Facebook and YouTube. So thank you guys for tuning in today. We have an exciting show. My name is Coach Steve and I'm here with Coach Roberto. Roberto, thanks for joining today and talking to the runners.
Yeah, good day, Steve. Good day, runners. It's so good to be here. It seems like it's been a while. Hopefully everybody had a great 4th of July holiday. We're in the full swing of summer. Obviously, some parts of the country are experiencing heat waves, but we're here today to talk about running, training, and a few other things that are going on within the organization. Steve, how are you doing?
Good. Just trying to get through the heat here. I'm in the Northeast New Jersey. It is humid. I do want to call it Roberto. I know you kind of just moved location. So you're up in mountains, Colorado. How's your running going on up there?
Yeah, it's going well. I'm trying to gradually step up my training because this is around the time each year where I start to take it a little bit more seriously and get ready for this year's TCS New York City Marathon. So as Steve mentioned, I'm actually in the mountains. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. Been out here, I think, a month exactly today. So I followed my own advice. I started training on the RP scale and going by minutes instead of miles, and just really took it easy, just adjusting to the heat wave that we've been having here, but also the elevation where I'm currently sitting, literally over a mile high, and then where I go running sometimes I'm up to a mile and a half high. So I have to take it easy, but I know that I'll be that much fitter when I return down to sea level and start running, our beloved Central Park hills.
Well, I can't wait for you to be back in the beloved Central Park hills, Roberto. That Cat Hill and Harlem Hill will seem easy to you come, when you run that next.
That's the idea.
Today, if those viewers are not aware, today is International Non-Binary Day. So approximately 1.2 million people living in the U.S. identify as non-binary. This is according to a study by the Williams Institute at UCLA Law School. So today, it's aimed at raising awareness around the issue faced by non-binary people around the world while celebrating their contributions. Now, Roberto, kind of for those who are unaware, what is non-binary?
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. So non-binary is an umbrella term for gender identities that are neither male nor female. Identities outside the gender binary, if you will. So instead, non-binary people understand their gender in a way that goes beyond the construct of identifying as either a man or a woman.
That's right. So there are kind of a few ways that we can help set up as allies to non-binary people. One of those is introduce yourself with your names and pronouns. Another way is put your pronouns in your email signatures or social media profiles. I've seen that all over, and it's a really great way to be an ally. You can use terms like folks or everyone in a large gathering instead of ladies and gentlemen, and also using their, THEIR, instead of his, her in letters or forms of other writing. So definitely we're trying our best to be allies. And celebrating today. So this is the NYRR Coaches Chat. So any questions you have about upcoming races, your training, how to get through the heat, how to train at high altitudes. If you live in Boulder, Colorado, and you are wondering how do I run in Boulder, Colorado, ask those questions below, and we're going to take them one by one throughout the show. But Roberto, we did have a great race in Central Park, those hills Central Park we're talking about this last weekend, the Achilles Hope and Possibility race. And our own coach Ben Delaney sat down with the runner Jennifer. She's part of the NYRR group training program. She ran the race, and we kind of talked to her about how her race went and how group training helped her have a successful race. Let's play that interview.
Thank you, Steve and Roberto. Great call today, runners. Thank you so much for taking the time here at Facebook Live. Today, I am joined by Jennifer Pyun from our group training. Jennifer, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks, Coach Ben. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for the time. I believe I saw you out there on Saturday at the Achilles Hope and Possibility 4-miler presented by TD Bank. What were your overall feelings of the race? How did your race go? And talk about that course a little bit.
Yeah, the race, it was great to see in-person racing coming back with mass starts with all the people. I took public transportation going into Central Park, and so it was nice to see other runners on the subways and the buses, and just having that overall feeling of excitement and energy. I think it's what we are used to and what we are wanting to come back. I think the race for me that day, my shoelace came untied, so I wasn't expecting that to happen. But in terms of the course itself, it's the 4-mile course that's happening from the east side of Central Park around 72nd Street. So you're immediately faced with Cat Hill. And then as you continue running north, you're running towards the 102nd transverse, you're passing the softball fields. And then after you hit 102nd, you're heading over to the west side onto the Three Sisters. So you've got those nice rolling hills. And then you start going into like mile 3, heading into the Tavern on the Green finish, which is where the marathon finishes. And there's a little bit of an uphill just coming into the end, maybe at that last half mile or so. And it doesn't feel like a very big hill, but when you've been racing for 4 miles at that point, it sometimes feels like a mountain. So that's typically been the course for the 4-mile races, which has been fun.
What are some of the specifics about NYRR group training that either helped you at the Achilles Hope and Possibility 404 mile, the mile race in New Jersey, or any other races that you've done this past year?
Yeah, I think, when you're doing the group training and then the coaches are able to sort of help you visualize the distances. So, whether we're running 200 meters or 400 meters, you're sort of able to now visualize, okay, there's the finish line, and that looks to be about 200 meters. That looks to be about 400 meters. And you can start to gauge, and when, if you have something left in the tank, that that's the time to start picking it up. And that you've put in the work in group training and that you can do it in a real race. And so I think group training for me has helped visualize sort of like those distances. It's given me the confidence to just keep going and push through to the finish line to have a strong finish.
Jennifer, thank you so much for your time today. Love all the information, love the advice. Hope to see you out there at group training this coming week. Our weather's looking pretty good, but thank you so much and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. It was good to be here.
It was a wonderful interview. Ben, thank you so much. And Jennifer, congratulations on a phenomenal race. Sorry about your shoe being untied. I learned early in my running days, double knotting those, which I'm sure you probably did, and you know that because you've been out there a lot. Double knot those shoes, triple knot them if you need to, tuck them into the shoelaces, because having a shoelace come untied during a race, it's happened to everyone, but definitely not fun to kind of lose that motivation, that momentum through your race. Roberto, she talked about group training and kind of how it helped her. Now, group training program in Central Park, Prospect Park, Astoria Park, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday throughout the week. And sessions it's open now to sign up. The classes start next week. So Tuesday, July 20th is our first class for group training for next session. Roberto, maybe tell the runners what group training is, how to experience it is, what the experience is like, and how it can improve their running and confidence out there.
Yeah, certainly. Group training is our in-person adult training program. So you must be 18 years and older. And the beautiful thing, or many of the beautiful things, like it's such a collective unit of training. So you have, you meet at several different locations, as Coach Steve just mentioned, several times a week, either in the morning at 6:30 a.m. or in the evening at 6:30 p.m. And there's just such a cohesive and supportive environment that occurs there that then later on you see these people at our weekly races as they train for their various maybe marathons in the autumn. And obviously, Coach Ben just interviewed one of our runners, but it's a great way to get fit, stay in shape, get fit, get motivated, whether you're trying to run your best 5K or you're training for a marathon. Also this upcoming session, as Coach Steve just mentioned, we'll actually be having something called a weekend long run, which is a great addition to group training from many years past, where, it really helps those people who need to get a little bit extra assistance on the weekend for those long runs, because most people in the summer are starting to do those longer runs for those, upcoming marathons. So yeah, group training is it's really great regardless of your ability level. There's somebody there to run with you, either a fellow runner and of course, guided by our expert coaches. So I would check it out at nyrr.org. And as Coach Steve said, the next session starts really soon, I believe in 6 days, July 20th. So there's still several spots open. If you have any more questions, hit us up while we're on this chat. Otherwise, check out the website, and we look forward to seeing you at one of those locations. So, and also, just before I kick it back to Steve, let us know where you're watching from. As Steve said, he's in New Jersey, where he's suffering a heat wave, or he has. I'm in Colorado, where it is pretty warm, but the air is thinner and it's super dry. I personally don't mind. You will never ever hear me complain about the temperature. In the summer, in the winter, I'm going to cry because I hate cold. But yeah, let us know where you're watching from, what the conditions are like, whether you're in the US, as Steve and I are, or obviously anywhere else in the world.
Roberto, I remember doing a video shoot for you, 4 years ago, and it was 90 degrees outside. I think we were uptown or something like that. everyone was so hot and complaining. You're sitting there like, this is the life. This is so warm. I'm going to go for a 5-mile run after this. And we're just sweating, couldn't get enough water in us. So when Roberto says he's not going to complain about the heat in the summertime, he is true. He does not complain about these. But when it turns below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, he will let you know that it is cold outside and he's not going to run or cycle or bike or skateboard anywhere that day. So yeah, like I said, group training is coming up, guys. Sign up. It's a great program. If you're training for the TCS New York City Marathon, or you have any fall marathon, there's a lot of fall marathons this year, guys. It is a great program, that weekend long run. We're going to start you off, get you motivated. You know, the runs will be increasingly longer throughout the weeks. And the great thing is, if you are doing the TCS New York City Marathon, we're actually going to be on the course throughout the program. So some race to be on. What does Queensboro Bridge feel like? You'll know what it feels like. So come race day, you're more prepared mentally and physically to know what it's going to feel like coming off the Queensboro Bridge onto First Avenue. We're going to run through the Bronx up that. What I think the hardest hill on the course would be the Fifth Avenue Hill around mile 23. So really experiencing what the race is going to be like. So you come into the course more prepared and more confident than you would otherwise. And we do have some other July in-person races, Roberto. Like I said, we just finished the Achilles Hope Possibility 4-miler this past weekend. We also have the Prospect Park 1-miler, which is coming up. Those 1-mile races are really fun. It's kind of a great way to get out there, get a hard race in, a really fast race for a lot of people. Sometimes people don't run miles, and it's a really cool way to kind of experience how fast you go in a mile. It can be a really challenging event. I know you're a shorter distance. You come from a short distance background, but you obviously have marathons in you and stuff like that. But can you kind of talk about the mile race, very overview, kind of what goes into that? Maybe training for 1 mile, because obviously not as long as a marathon, kind of what goes into that?
Yeah, certainly. And before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to our Hope and Possibilities winners from this past week. We had Tesson Mekonnen in first place with a time of 19:20, and then we also had Stephanie Diakovo finishing in a time of 24:17. So those are very, very fast times for a 4-miler, and continuing to the mile, those translate to under 5 minutes per mile for Teshom, and under 6 minutes per mile, just over 6 minutes per mile for Stephanie. So these are people who are obviously pretty fit and running fast. But for the rest of us, if you're trying to run a mile, it's a great event. It's a great distance, whether you're really, really well trained or not, just because it's over relatively quickly. But that being said, a mile, while it's fun, it's a race that maybe many of us either did in gym class or skipped it in gym class. It was always the iconic distance that we ran however many laps around a building or an arbitrary location. But the thing with a mile, it's more or less a controlled sprint. And what you want to do is really pace yourself. And so you don't want to go out really, really, really fast. You want to make sure that you kind of gradually get faster. So if you've ever done a progression run, that's a great way to treat the mile, where, you start out hard. If we're going to speak on RPE, let's say RPE is rate of perceived exertion. You maybe want to start out in a 6 or so out of 10, so 60%, let's say 6 out of 10 for the first 400 meters or quarter mile or 1 lap around the track. And you want to just gradually go from 6 to 7, 8 to 8, 9, and then obviously the last quarter mile or so, you're just going at as fast as you can. And the effort might be the same. You're just maybe going faster because you're getting closer to the race, you're being pulled by the finish line. But a mile is a great distance. I've always enjoyed it, obviously, and looking forward to seeing how people go in Prospect Park next week, but also, later on this, well, it's still technically summer in September for the iconic Fifth Avenue Mile. I know a few years ago, Coach Steve and a few of us ran it. It was so much fun because we kind of formed mini teams, and it was a lot of fun and bragging rights around the office. So let us know again in the comments section if you have any questions about the mile, training in general, or if you're actually signed up to run this mile next week or another mile down the road this summer.
We were talking about before is I was Team Brooklyn that year, and my team won the race. So I still have my bragging rights because we never tried to do it again. But yeah, the mile is great. We do have some shout outs, guys. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Let's get some shout outs here, Roberto. We have Edgar says, hello, Coach Ben from East Harlem United Runners NYC. It's always a pleasure seeing you, Edgar. Thank you for watching. We have Jeffrey says, hello, everyone at New York Road Runners Club. Nice to be here once again. Jeffrey, thanks for joining today. We have Jesse. Hello. Hi, everyone. Jesse from Club Rise to Run. I know that club. I love the guys. They're great out there. I love seeing you guys. Mostly I see you guys in Prospect Park. Great to see you. We also have Ruby from Michigan. And then the last one that I'll read off, we have hello from France. Nice to see you from Veronica, is that it? Veronica Fort from France.
Veronique.
Nice to see you too. Veronique, there you go.
Yeah.
Roberto, you want to kick off some other shout outs here?
Yeah, sure. It's always great to see our, where our viewers are watching from. Sometimes it's fun because they're literally across the street. Back when we were at the Run Center pre-pandemic, that was always fun. And then sometimes they're just all the way outside of, on the other side of the planet. But yeah, coming on from the Netherlands, we have Joke, saying hello. We have somebody else watching from Queens, TFK member, David. And then we have JJ Johnson, aloha from Hawaii. We know heat. I'm sure he does. And humidity. That's one thing they definitely know. He's a race director for the Honolulu Marathon. Wow, JJ, thanks for watching. That was a great race.
Awesome.
We've had several colleagues of ours run that race many years. I've been out there before for it when I competed in the Xterra Trail World Running Championships in December, because Honolulu, I think, would be the week after. And it was always great because Hawaii was just crawling with trail runners, some of the best trail runners around the world. And then you would also have like the elite marathoners and the masses. So shout out to the Honolulu Marathon and JJ there. And then from nearby-ish, I'm obviously not in New York right now, but from Harlem, we have Deron. We also have Susan from Vero Beach, Florida. That's got to be somebody else dealing with heat and humidity. And then Marcus Nell. Oh, my friend Marcus Nell from the Netherlands. He's actually from South Africa. His wife used to work with us, so he owes me some biltong, and he knows that. But yeah, shout out for Marcus and everybody else watching. And again, let us know if you have any questions out there. We'd love to hear from you.
I love that, guys. Thank you so much, Roberto. I definitely want to talk about a new aspect of our website, which we just launched a few months ago, but still relatively new. It's called the Running Resource Center. It's a thing that one of our colleagues, Coach Unique, actually brought up. It's really a cool place for new runners to find information on running-related topics, articles on safety, motivation, gear, training, and much more. So it's really targeted for the new runners. We have articles on tips for running on a treadmill. That's something that I didn't know when I started running. I still don't use treadmills too much, but it's a great article. How do you run properly on a treadmill? Stay motivated on a treadmill, safety aspects of a treadmill. And then we have this section called Ask a Coach. Example, how to stick to your running goals. And a lot of times we set big goals, training for the TCS New York City Marathon. How do you stick to that goal throughout 16, 20 weeks? Because it is a long time. It could also be how the goal could be, how do you run 3 days a week? That's your goal. So how do you stick to that goal? We have some great articles on those. And like I said, tons of other gear, runner safety, how do you run at nighttime to be safe, etc. are out there. And you can definitely find this information very easily on our website. So if you're a new runner, head over to nyrr.org. You're going to bring your mouse over train, and then scroll down. You'll see New Runner Resource Center over there. You can also just Google New Runners NYRR, which makes it super easy. Google New Runners NYRR, and it'll be that first link you see. You'll see all of the articles there listed below. And I actually want to know, you guys watching, new runners, what do you want to see an article on? Is there anything that you're like, I'm a new runner and I'm questioning how to do X, Y, Z, or how do I do ABC? We want to hear from you, and we can create articles just for you. There's actually a submit feature also on our website that you can let us know at a later date any articles or ask the coaches that you would like to have answered. Put that either in the chat here or on the submission page, and we'll answer those questions for you. So Roberto, let's quickly talk about injuries, something I don't like to bring up too much, but we also have an injury section here. Follow consistent training program is something, kind of a way to stay injury free throughout a year. Talk about that and how following a program can help you stay injury free.
Yeah, certainly. Injuries in a sense are somewhat, unfortunately, a part of life. I don't want to say completely an inevitability, but whether you're a new runner or you've been running for a while, like eventually training, whether it's for running, which is what we're talking about, or training for another sport, it's essentially breaking down your body and recovery, breaking down your body and recovery. So the gains of training and fitness are made in that recovery. So oftentimes we try to rush that recovery process a little bit too much because we think more is more, where sometimes, as the old saying, less is more. So when we talk about injuries, it's also making sure you identify the difference between what is an injury and what is soreness. So for example, if I take off a month from running, I'm going to lose some fitness, but I'm obviously not going to be injured, knock on wood. But then when I start back training again, I'm going to feel a lot of soreness in my quads, like my hips, etc., just because of the pounding that you get from running. So I might think, oh, maybe I'm injured, because because it's sometimes hard to tell the difference. So understand where you are in your training and what you're feeling. And so I would say the difference between injury and soreness, again, depending on where it is on your body and what you have happen, is that with soreness, you could kind of start to feeling going away after a few days, and it's usually relatively isolated, where with an injury, it just kind of stays in that same location. And it's not really going away. If anything, as you continue to run, 1 week and another, it probably gets worse, where obviously with soreness, eventually your body gets used to the training that you're doing, adapts again as you recover, and that goes away. Where again, with an injury, it usually doesn't. And sometimes actually it could kind of jump around, because a lot of times we find ourselves favoring. So like if my right knee hurts, maybe it's because I'm favoring my left hip, or there's a sort of imbalance right there. So, this is some of the things, kind of going back to what Coach Steve said, where in the Runner Resource Center, whether you're a new runner or experienced runner, you could find more of this sort of information. Or if you want to find out more, get more questions like that, we always love to hear, because Steve has a wealth of knowledge, so do I, and obviously Coach Ben, and shout out to Coach Anik for kind of putting all this together. But sometimes you just don't know what people are interested in. You don't want to throw out too much information, but I know as a new runner, which we encounter often, there's always those questions like, should I stretch before I run or after I run? How do I hydrate, especially now in the summer with long runs? Like, do I hydrate with just water or an electrolyte drink? There's always a lot of questions, and sometimes people Google these questions and you get so many hits, so many answers, that you don't know what is what and how to apply it to yourself. So there's a lot of information out there, but injury is something that, again, I wouldn't say it's an inevitability, but like it's something that a lot of us runners, the more you run, the more you deal with, and the severity of it is what you could really help to minimize by being on top of your training, on top of your recovery, and obviously listening to your body first and foremost.
Yeah. So we have 2 final shout outs, guys. Thank you for watching our show. We have July saying she is in New York, and we have Philly Dilly from Minnesota. So thank you guys for joining our show. Jennifer from Group Training, thank you again for your solid interview, and congratulations on your race. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.